Hello guys, Lorenzo here, episode 40 of Tylo and Eeloo. And off screen I did some things. I constructed a resupply vessel to resupply the space station. I constructed a truss for docking, which will be constructed by the Orbital shipyard. And I constructed a claw thing that will rescue the guys on the Surprise. See episode way back in the past for that. Some guys got trapped without food. And that will also be built by the Orbital shipyard. I've also added a launch window to Eve, or rather Gilly, which of course will be utilized by the probe, which is currently being built by the Orbital shipyard. We've heard the Orbital shipyard a few times now, so let's go have a look at it. See how those guys are doing. Let's see, the future, fly it. We shall be building stuff there, and one thing I neglected to mention, I didn't just design the refueling rocket, I also added it to the build queue. So as soon as that is done in 15 days, then we shall be launching it. So what do we have here? We have the agriculture module, which is lacking substrate. That's going to be on the resupply mission. And it's also lacking a hydroponics lab. That's going to be in the construction effort. We have here the UI for the shipyard, and let's see, it's at 1%, needs 13 more days? No, it says here 2 days, so these are probably hours then. Yeah, these are hours, minutes, seconds. And of course these hours don't add up to 48 because these are Kerbal days. So let's time warp until that's complete, because we don't really have anything else to do. Let's keep an eye on the supplies of this stuff. Supplies are dwindling, but we are working on, of course, a method of resupplying them. That's the 15 days for the resupply mission. Let's see, can we do more time warp? No, this is not really the best place to do these time warps, because we're not allowed to go really fast. We shall return to the space center and appropriately time warp from there. You may hear I'm still a little bit impeded in my speech due to the mouth surgery after effects, but I went to hospital yesterday and they basically told me, well, you're fine, don't really know why you're having so much pain, but here, have these premium painkillers, you won't feel a thing. And they're mostly right. They are really nice. They're the kinds that are illegal to sell, if I were to be so inclined. So I'm happy with that. I do hope I will heal shortly, but in the meantime I'm managing on these pills that make me incredibly woozy. So if I'm missing obvious stuff, this time it's not completely my stupid fault. There is some external factors involved. Cool, so we have a completed orbital shipyard building. Not a building, a probe. Jump to ship, yes, please. Oh, this is gonna be awesome. It's gonna be so much work to get supplies up there, but it's gonna be awesome too. Right, so we need, we can remove this. We need to wait for 96 days, but I think we can launch the probe just to do that once. Let's see, we have, I suppose we're gonna click finalize build. Oh, look, we can add fuel. So that's gonna come from the tanks. Fortunately, the resupply ship also has some fuel. So yeah, we're gonna fill it up and release it. Well, that was a perilous shake, but look at that, we've got a probe. Let's see about putting that into a parking orbit, because it needs to wait. Activate the engine. Here we are. Let's try not. Let's add some RCS so we don't back blast on the station too much. Alright, deploying solar panels. Oh, I really like it. I mean, it's a bog standard probe. It got landing legs and some science kit. But I'm liking this a lot because it was built in orbit. That's just special. Let's give it a sample temperature display. Yeah, transmit the data. Why not? It's all functional. Reaction wheels work. Stellar job on the construction, guys. Well done. Right. Let's separate it a little bit from the space station so it doesn't collide into it. This should be enough. And now we can leave it until we need it. Let's switch back to the space station while we still can. Yeah, taking away the camera. There goes the first production. Goodbye, Gilly Eater. Great, great, great. Now on to the next construction project. We have eligible. Oh, I can also build planes here. Of course I can, but that's cool. That's for later consideration. I want to build the expansion module here. Now, this will probably cost more parts than... Wait, what the hell? Oh, this requires like 50 more parts. No matter. We shall build that after the resupply effort. For now, we're gonna build the penetrator. And that's the thing that's going to rescue the people on the Surprise. This one is really small. It's unmanned, it basically carries supplies to... to the Surprise people that will then have to make their own way back to the surface, or at least they can be alive so something can happen. I didn't remember if I had to bring a re-entry pod, but this thing carries 2 seats, so it can bring the Kerbals on the Surprise to the space station, which will then be fully manned. And at this point I think it's a waste to return Kerbals to the ground, because, well, we're gonna launch them from here. Alright, build. So that's gonna take 3 more days. Wow, this is going to be the first thing that we're actually gonna do, not even the resupply mission. So I suppose this episode has been repurposed into getting the Surprise people. Well, it's about time to. Let's see, how are we doing on the station? We have some fuel remaining. We're gonna need a resupply of that. And we're gonna get a supply of substrate in a few days. And we're gonna get some... that's gonna make more supplies. Supplies are life support. Right, back to the space center for time warping. I hope you're as excited as I am about this orbital constructioning. Just constructing, that's a boring word. Cool, let's wait for 3 days and 5 hours for our penetrator construction. I felt that was more funny. That was funnier when I designed it than it is now. Now it's just childish and tongue-in-cheek. Well, I hope you guys like that. Oh well, nothing to be done about that now. Actually, I can just rename it, but I don't want to do it. Yeah, this 40%. Something I didn't notice or mention was that we actually did the docking contract, obviously. So hey, money. Construction, future. Yeah, this is all old news. Cool, let's time warp the last few minutes towards penetration time. Yeah, penetration time. My girlfriend once asked me, why are all your episodes titled like hardcore porn movies? And I was like, are they? And I had a second look, and some of them are like extremely hard mode. Super duper hard. It was referring to the difficulty, of course, but that's not immediately apparent, apparently. Anyway, finalize the build of this rescue sausage. Does it need monopropellant? Yes, it does. It's going to be performing delicate docking. Does it need supplies? It does need supplies, but it doesn't need 500 supplies. It needs like 40 supplies. Fuel, it does need that. Yes, release. Cool, and this thing got RCS. Look, I like this. This is something you would never actually launch from Kerbin because it's just too ridiculous. But here we can just stack these modules and piss them out of the space dock. I can control it. It's just that... Did I not put RCS in it? Yeah, there's monopropellant. Oh, right. I didn't put any RCS thrusters on it. That's an oversight. Oh well, we're gonna have to work around that. We are separated now. Alright, that's going to be interesting docking. It's probably going to be more of a ramming than a docking. Also because, look, it's got a claw, not a docking module. And of course it does, because the Surprise was built before docking technology existed. Now I'm going to figure out a rendezvous and do that rendezvous, and then I will check back with you because that's boring to watch. See you in a bit. Right on, about half a day and a few orbits later, there we are. Let us do this rendezvous. Look at the fuel tank, it is really full still, everything is going well, I'd say. And now that we've actually got this fuel from our orbital space dock, and we have the opportunity to give it back there, that's actually rather attractive to do, because if we throw it away, we're gonna have to, well, relaunch it from the surface. Now, interestingly, it is of course possible to add refining stations to the space station and ore gathering, and then gather ore. But this orbital shipyard is in orbit around Kerbin, and not, say, Minmus. If I were to have such a complete orbital shipyard, it would be interesting to move it to, say, Minmus and then supply it with ore. That's something to keep in mind. If this operation grows and is successful and works properly, we can move our off-world manufacturing capacity to Minmus, where the gravity well is really shallow, and then just gather ore from there, process it into rocket parts and fuel, and build all our stuff there. Then we might even build a base and just build stuff on the surface. Now this is something to keep in mind. Now of course this series is increasingly inappropriately titled Tylo and Eeloo, so I would rather do such cool things around those planets, but they're just so far away. So I could reason that to get that far away, that I would need a massive interplanetary fleet, which would be best to build around Minmus, maybe. Or I'm not quite decided on which route I will take. I can also just keep launching one-off bases in that vicinity. I think a few of them are en route. Yeah, base lander to Eeloo gets to Apoapsis in a year, so something is en route. Heavy lander to Eeloo. Some stuff is apparently headed to Eeloo. Cool, great, well-managed space program this is. But for now we are headed for the surprise, and those of you who are not incredibly faithful viewers with a great memory, this is a space station that we sent, I think, about 20 episodes ago. It does have some cool stuff on it, but it failed to properly do something because, well, it failed to do anything, because I just didn't understand the way space stations worked. It didn't have enough supplies, it didn't even have docking ports, and it was overall a big disappointment. I think even some things exploded on there, but I'm not completely sure about that. Now, as I said, I forgot to put RCS nozzles on this thing, so it's gonna use its claw here to grab onto the surprise and board that way. And it still should do so relatively delicately, but it doesn't completely matter where we attach. I mean, this thing, I will show you, the surprise, it carries these Kerbals. It has a lab module and everything. It carries these Kerbals, but they don't have supplies, so they turned into tourists. And they can't do anything, because they're out of supplies. Look, supplies, none. I mean, didn't even have supplies to start with. So these guys had like 15 days of supplies, and look at this cool thing they have. Like a carbonite gatherer or something, but, well, they didn't do anything with it. Oh look, and there's the rescue needle, the penetrator tumbling. We should probably fix that. And we're going to get them. We are now approaching at 2 meters per second. This is probably too fast even for the penetrator. So first we're going to scorch them with rockets a bit, and then we're going to turn around and penetrate them. Does that sound rapey? I don't think so. It sounds properly scientific. Scorching has been achieved. Target is properly scared. And now we are on course for a, well, slightly rough penetration. Excuse me, no. First we're going to grab on to something or other. Yeah. 0.7 meters per second. That's gentle. Is it gentle? I don't know. Anyway, we've got supplies, 80 supplies. Come on, surprise guys. You're gonna get supplies. Hello, it's only been a few years, but we've developed technology to get you some snacks. Let's see. Now, I would do some retro thrusting with the RCS system if I had one. Come on, grab onto the science bunker, yeah. There we are. The Kerbins have returned to duty. Wonderful. So what do we have? Transmit science? Can we do that? Do they have science? They have 0 science. Of course they do. What's this? Carbonite tank? What's this? What is this? Advanced particle collector. But it doesn't have power. Alright, we're just gonna abandon all of this. Can we actually do that? We can probably deorbit it. I mean, we're not in a very high orbit. We can just push that down and then it's done with. Then this bit of space junk is actually gone. Let's see. Let's do the right thing and deorbit this baby. Where are we? We are here. Our periapsis is 166. Full throttle. Now we gotta pay attention to our fuel. That's actually gonna take more fuel than I'm comfortable with, and it's not really easy to control. So, can we transfer these Kerbals internally? Nope. Alright, use your reaction wheels to stabilize, please, and we're gonna do some EVA in. Leonard, you go first. I hope you enjoyed your time in space. Yeah, we effectively got 2 Kerbals today. That's nice. That's good. And we will leave this... Hey, we shouldn't deorbit this. I'm not gonna deorbit it now. This is a free science lab for all intents and purposes. All we need to do is build a tug that has a claw and maybe a docking port on the other side, and then we can just reuse it at the shipyard. Or we can build something with a claw and add the modules that are needed to get this operational. Yeah, we're not gonna put this in. We're not gonna throw this on the planet. We're gonna leave this for when we need it. Yes, yes, yes. Rodgar needs to go on over as well. But for now, these guys are taken off. Right on. Which one has some space? I forgot which one I put them in. Cannot board a full module, then please board that one. Alright, now to get back to the future. Back to the future. Hell yeah. I didn't think about that one, but we are gonna do so. Let's see, can we get a nice high energy rendezvous? Yeah, we can. Or we can get a low energy rendezvous. Let's see, this will... Let's get a relatively low energy rendezvous maybe. Oh, screw that, let's wait for a bit. And what if we do it here? This isn't too bad. How are we on the fuel? Other craft please. Really good. Then again, we didn't spend a lot to get here. Yeah, I'm gonna go for the low energy rendezvous. I'm just gonna do that, and then I'll get back to you once that's in progress. See you in a bit. And just like that, in a jiffy, we're almost back to the future. I won't tell you about all the hardships in the background. So we've got a few hundred meters per second to scrub, and well, yeah, I completely forgot about the surprise and the fact that it was a science lab. Now I'm gonna think something up to revitalize that. Probably a big nuclear reactor, a crew, a greenhouse, and basically everything that a space station needs. I preferably want to be able to poop that out of the shipyard in one go, which means that the shipyard station is gonna have to grow, especially to accommodate more rocket parts at once, which is not too bad actually. The first thing that is gonna happen is that the shipyard is gonna get its very own orbital hydroponics bay. That is, I'm gonna initiate that build in a bit when we get back to it in fact, and probably to power that construction we are gonna need the resupply mission with about 11,000 extra rocket parts. I'm also gonna need to slow it down. And so that's the next mission we're gonna undertake. And before that happens, I'm gonna eat a pizza, but that's of no import to you, I don't think. Anyway, let's first claw onto the station with this little rocket, and I was originally planning to then just dispose of it, as I've always been doing with my Kerbal space rockets. When they're no longer useful, just slam them into a planet or something. But then I thought, well, if we are gonna operate multiple space stations and building a interplanetary empire, a perfectly good two-person shuttle, which is also autonomously flyable, is of course quite useful. So we're going to find a nice unobtrusive spot where we can clamp it to the future and then just leave it there. Sounds good? I think so. It also saves us the hassle of actually disembarking and EVAing around the Kerbals, because they can live in these capsules and pretend they actually have access to the recreation facilities of the future. I made a big deal earlier about the fuel that we can pump back into the station, and well, we can, and it is important, but I did spend quite a bit more than I thought I would. I spent more than I strictly had to as well, but then again, spending a few hundred Delta V more makes it a lot easier to rendezvous in a timely fashion. Because otherwise you have to wait endlessly and creep along the orbits, and that's of course the way to go for maximum efficiency, but hey, who the hell likes maximum efficiency? That's for eco-green people. If I offended someone by saying that, yeah, too bad. Right, let's target that docking port, not because I want to go to the docking port, but because I want to clamp onto the orange fuel tank, and this one is closest to there. Why the orange fuel tank? Because that's out of the way, and this thing is not gonna be pretty, it's just gonna be in the way basically, so I want to have it on an end. Also, that's not really what's happening now. Are we actually gonna crash into the station? I don't think so. No, we're just going to pass it by. This is actually perfect. This is very dangerous flying, but hey, everything is fine. Let's stop now. Let's aim at the orange tank just by visuals. Here we go. And let's go there. 0.7 meters per second. I think this is going to happen exactly according to plan. Come on, grab. No fuel spills, I hope. Cool, we have arrived. There's now 2 ships docked to the station. Well, one of them is docked and the other one is just kind of scraping onto the fuel tank. Not a great strategy, because there's fuel in here, but it is a strategy. Alright, let's get the expansion module. Oh shit, now I realize that what I actually wanted was to ditch this fuel tank and add the expansion module here. But for that to work, kind of need all this fuel to go in some other tanks. Let's see if we can make that work. And then I can hook this on some other part, and I can actually use the tug to get this orange tank away. But for that to work, of course, it does need to be able to store the fuel elsewhere, otherwise it's a bit of a waste. And no, we don't have any fuel storage yet. So yeah, this is not gonna happen quite yet. We're gonna put... This could actually be a problem. No, we're just gonna have to dock the big supply thing here. And... well, just wait until we build enough stuff to deplete the fuel. No big deal. Let's start building the expander module. Expansion module. Let's see. Yeah, we don't have enough, so if I hit build anyway... Oh, it's gonna build, but it's just not gonna finish, I think. Cool. This will complete in 18 days, it's a big one. Our resupply ship is gonna be complete in 8 days. So we can probably get to the station before that expansion module finishes. And I'm gonna do that in the next episode. It will be a few episodes of station building, I think, although I'm not going to show you the complete launch of the resupply ship and the rendezvous and all that. I'll just do that really quickly, and then we can fast forward to the interesting bits. But hey, look at this, we now have an orbital shipyard with 3. Let's see, does this go 3 new ones? Yeah, with 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Kerbals in here. I think that's cool, that's an achievement. Great, so on that note, let's end, and I'll see you in the next episode. I'm Lorenzo, thanks for watching, do subscribe, yada yada yada, goodbye.